everybody. So today's practice is going to be all about our core. So we know we're always engaging our core when we're working, but today we're going to really kind of focus on that and use that to help us in developing some of our more challenging balances. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to start today in child's pose. So you're at the back of your mat, send your hips backwards and start to reach your fingers forward. So we're in an active child's pose. As you exhale, slowly allow the forehead to come to the mat. Just take a few breaths here as you allow that chest to sink. Allow the shoulders just to gently open. Now rolling that body forwards, we're going to come onto all fours, but send the body slightly more forward, so you're almost in a half plank, and then come back into child's pose. So you're inhaling, rolling that body forwards, as if you were going into your cat-cow, but let the hips drop so slightly, and then ripple the body backwards. It's like a modified cat-cow. You can find your own rhythm here, so really rounding the spine as you come forwards, then allow the belly to drop, and then lift the hips, so you're tilting the hips and sinking back. So we're really trying to mobilise the spine, just warming everything up here. And you can make this movement as big as you want. You could drop the hips quite a lot, and then really sink them back. You can really round and come further forwards, almost so that you're in an up dog. Or we can make it smaller. So again, just find what's appropriate for you, what feels quite nice. Always tuning into the yes. Whatever your body says, yes, I like that. That's what we want to stick to. And then we'll all come into that half plank. So the half plank is where our shoulders end up over our wrists. Our core is engaged. The head, neck and spine are long. We're going to tuck the toes. Really get the good tuck of the toes and lift the knees so that we end up in a full plank. So you might need to adjust the length of your stride. Eye gaze downwards. Breathe nice and full and steady here. And then send the hips all the way up into downward facing dog. So just pedaling out the knees, making any adjustments you need to. Starting to send those hips up as the chest comes down. Now we're going to bring the toes together and start to bend the knees. So as the knees bend, really send that chest towards the thighs. So from here, we're going to lengthen the legs, come over into plank. Plank, but your legs are together. And then come back, so you're crouching back. Now the arms stay long throughout this. So pushing the body forward, so you end up in a plank. Bending the knees, send that body backwards into the modified downward facing dog. Push the hips to allow the body to come forwards. Take a breath here, bend the knees, send that chest down to thighs. So just do this 2 more times. The last one, and when you're in your next plank, send the hips back into downward dog, and then start to tiptoe the feet towards the hands. So we end up in forward fold. So soften everything here, bend the knees, let the head drop. Holding on to the opposite elbows, we allow a little bit more weight into the upper body. Giving the head a nod yes, and a shake no to release the neck. Let's inhale and come to that flat back. So lengthening the head away from the tailbone. Find the place where you can sink between the shoulders. So if we feel like we're in a really rounded back, draw those shoulder blades together and send them down the back. Exhale into forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Soften the knees. Inhale all the way up to our extended mountain, reaching the arms up and overhead. Keep those arms so they're framing the ears. Send the sit bones down. We're going to make it into chair pose, Utkatasana. So reach the arms up. Inhale, lift. So we'll do a couple of these. Really sink the hips back, bending the knees. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sink. Maybe a little lower if it feels okay. Inhale, lift. Adding a back bend if it's appropriate. So just finding your own range of movement here. We're just going to do 2 more. And on your next one, we're holding for a couple of breaths. So sink low, reach the arms, and then let the arms come down as we come into forward fold. Let that head drop. So you want to feel like the crown of the head is just dripping down towards the floor. Place the hands each side of the feet. Let's pick the left leg up, send it all the way back and plant that left foot. So we're going to come into a warrior 2. So your left foot wants to be rooted down on the mat. Your right foot is facing forwards. Your left arm is going to start to windmill as you lift the body and you end up with the hips open towards the long side of your mat. Your right knee is at 90 degrees. Let the shoulders come and settle just so the hands aren't above the shoulders. Watch, glance across your left and your right fingertips. And find a softness here. Look towards your right fingertips. Sink a little lower. Keep your breath steady. As you inhale, we're going to lengthen the right leg, so both legs are long, taking the arms up and overhead. As you exhale, sink in that right knee, pushing the hands down, looking towards your right fingertips. We'll do this a couple of times. Inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, pushing the hands down, so there's some resistance there. Find your Virabhadrasana 2, your warrior 2. Don't rush into this. Inhale. So watching that when you exhale and you sink, you don't sink just halfway. You really get into that right hip, opening out. Inhale, open. And using your exhale to sink, 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 sink. We're going to do 1 more. Exhale. And you're going to windmill those hands around. Turn the toe of your left foot, so you're onto the toes. The hips now are facing down towards the mat. And you're going to hop your back foot in slightly, just so that you can start to lengthen that front leg. So you may need to come up a little here, that's fine. You may need to adjust the length of your legs. So you're really drawing that right hip back, squaring your shoulders off to your chest, using your exhale to soften. So really find, if you can, focus on the hips and lengthening in the spine. Squaring the right hip off to the left. And then bend that right knee. Place the hands each side of that right foot and peel back the right leg so you end up in downward facing dog. Start to walk the feet towards the hands, to the top of your mat, and settle in your forward fold. So really exhale here. Find lots of space as you settle down. So you can come back to holding the opposite elbows. Lengthening a little bit more maybe in the backs of the legs, so maybe there's a bit more space now. Inhale to your flat back. Send the hands back. Soften the knees and come up to standing. So your arms are extended each side of the ears. We're going to come down once more into Utkatasana, chair pose. Reach fingertips away. Inhale, up and open that chest. Exhale, sink down. Inhale, open. Exhale, sink down. Inhale, open. This time as we exhale and sink down, we're going to hold. So tuck your pelvis under if you feel like your bottom is sticking out. Check you can see your big toes. Your knees haven't come too far forwards. 2 breaths. On your next exhale, send the hands down. Allow the legs to lengthen. So we're exploring here how much we can lengthen the legs with no pain at all in the back. So we don't want to bend in the back. What we're really looking for is the hinge in our forward fold. So it doesn't matter how deep we go. The important thing is that we can feel that protection in the lower spine. So our head, neck and spine are long, and we're working the body slowly down with each breath. The right foot up, we're going to send that right foot back, planting it down, so the right foot is flat on the mat, and then lead with your right hand, so we're coming into a warrior 2 on the other side, so the right arm windmills up and around, your hips open now towards the long side of your mat, reaching your fingertips away, drawing your right shoulder and your right hip back. So if you're glancing back to your right heel, your fingertips with your right hand might be over your right heel, and your left arm is in line with your left leg. Reach here. Sink a little lower. So we're going to do that same motion by inhaling, lifting, and exhaling to sink. Inhaling to lift. And exhaling to sink a little lower. So find your own rhythm here. Maybe you want to go really slow. Maybe you want to catch a breath between each movement. That's absolutely fine. Making sure we're sinking deep enough into that left leg each time we come back into warrior 2. One more. And hold here. Hold the pose, but not the breath. And then we're going to windmill those hands round. So as the right hand comes and the left hand frames that foot, we turn the right toes so that we're tucking that right hip under. Hop that right foot slightly further forward so you're shortening your stride. And then start to lengthen the left leg. Send that left hip backwards, squaring the hips off to the shoulders. And sink down here into your modified pyramid. So you're really drawing that left leg back. Really strong in the hands, bend the left foot, draw it back and just take yourself into down dog for a few breaths to settle. And we're going to come, as if we're coming over on a big ball, come onto the toes and roll the body forwards into your front plank, your full plank. And then we're going to bring the feet together. So you're zipping that lower body together. Come right onto the toes and shift the body weight forwards and back. So we're just doing some gentle. Now this is quite strong on your wrists, so you might want to make that movement smaller or bigger, whatever is appropriate. Keep the core nice and tight. Nice and strong. And then lower the knees, untuck the toes, sink the hips back. Keep those arms active, so coming onto the fingertips and allow the chest to come down. Rolling the body forwards, we're going to come onto all fours and kind of move through gate pose. So hinging that right lower leg around 90 degrees, so it's facing away, we're going to take the left leg out long. So you've got a base of support on your right leg. Your right hand stays where it is and your left arm draws up towards the ceiling, opening out and reaches long. So looking down at your right hand might feel nice on your neck. If it feels okay to look up, you can look underneath the left shoulder, left armpit, but that sometimes doesn't feel nice. So breathe into your side waist here, maybe finding a little bit more stretch from your fingertip to your toes, so really opening out. And then slowly letting that left hand come down and tuck the toes of the right leg. Let's come back onto all fours. Sink the hips down, reach those hands forwards. Let's come into active child. Rolling the body forwards. You're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So with the left leg that goes out and the right leg that's long this time. The left hand is planted, and as that right arm leads, making a big circle with that right arm up and overhead. So start to explore that motion, that range of motion through the side body. Looking down at the hand. We can check our alignment here too by taking the eye gaze down to those right toes and all the way up, just to see if everything is nice and balanced. Use your inhale to open out the chest, feeling strong in that right shoulder. And then slowly take that right hand down, bring yourselves back into all fours. And we're going to move through some cat-cows here. So arching the spine and then dropping the pelvis. Taking a big inhale here. Draw those shoulder blades down the back. Really find a big movement here through the spine. And then push the mat away as we arch the back. Inhale, find openness. come to neutral. So we're going to take ourselves and do some plank exercises now. So we can do all of these plank exercises modified. So the important thing is not to worry about coming into a full plank. It's more about, can we find stability in the shoulders? So with your shoulders directly over your wrists, make sure, have a look down, are your fingers really well spread? Bring the knees together and shift that body forwards, but not so forwards that we're dropping the hips. We don't want a curve in the spine. And you can take your option. We can work here, or we can come to a full plank. So we're all going to start here first. The inside of your elbows want to be facing forwards. Engage in your core and start to bend your elbows. And this is really challenging, so don't worry if that bend is tiny and push back up. So we might simply be here, and that's absolutely fine. It's not simple at all. So send the shoulder blades back rather than just pinching them together. Don't think about them coming so close together. Think about sending them back. Maybe we can get a little lower. So explore your range of motion. Explore where your body says, yes, that's good, that's okay. And maybe it's saying, no, don't like that. So a couple more. Just seeing what feels good. And then just lengthen out the arms. So just release the shoulders. Keep your knees at 90. Take the right hand out long. We're going to open out in the left arm and thread the needle with that left arm. So let the left shoulder come down. Inhaling to come back. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. Take the left arm out long. It's the right arm that reaches up. And as you thread it through, allow that right shoulder to drop. Don't worry if your shoulder or your ear doesn't come to the mat. That's absolutely fine. Keep your hips nice and high. Don't sink them down too low. So keep them at right angles if you can. Just releasing the shoulders here, really finding a nice stretch through that upper back and shoulder, and then come back up to centre. So we're going to do another move up to your core exercises. So shifting the body weight forwards, we're going to come into that half plank that we've been working on, but they're going to push the left leg away, the right leg away, the left knee down, the right knee down. So the key here is to see how stable you can keep your upper body from your hips upwards. Can we keep that dead stable so that we can really just work on engaging the core and noticing the difference when we take the legs up long. So make sure you've got a good foundation. Let's lift the right knee, the left knee down, and the right knee down. Left knee up, right knee up, right knee down, left knee down. So we're trying to alternate this, right knee up, left knee down, up, left knee down, right knee down, left up, right down, left down. So you can stay here, alternating, or you can come left up, full plank, and hold. So if you're working on alternating them, that's great. If you're working on a full hold of plank, make sure you've got that little dome between the shoulder blades. Keep looking down and keep breathing, sending the hips, heels backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody lower the knees, bring the big toes together. The knees as wide as your mat and send your hips back. Reach your arms as far away as you can. So creep them along the mat. See if you can keep creeping them, opening out the shoulders. Take them out to the sides of the mat. Bring the wrists down. Sink your elbows down and see if you can sink your armpits down. We're really seeing if we can open out the shoulders here. Just breathe into this. So I find I like to think about breathing into the areas where there's tension. So if you can feel that tension in your core, breathe into your core. If you can feel the tension in your spine, breathe there. If you feel it like me into your shoulders, then really breathe into those areas. Ripple the body forwards. In your own time, we're going to find our way into the center of the mat for a shoulder release. So just coming into Sukhasana or any comfortable seat. It doesn't have to be cross-legged. We're going to take the right hand down to the right side of the mat, the left arm up, and start to lean the body over, softening that right elbow, maybe just finding some openness in the chest, watching that left sit bone is not popping up. So really find a nice stretch to the side waist here. As you come back up to centre, if you are in cross-legged, just swap your cross over so we're not on the same side all the time. Take your hand to the other side of the mat, reaching the arm up. And again, have a check of your alignment. Can we keep that right elbow really drawn back? Softening down. Maybe that doesn't come as deep on this side, that's fine. More important to keep the sit bones down than to draw that elbow down. I'm more interested in that. Breathing into the side waist. Inhaling back to centre. Taking the arms wide, crossing the over, seeing if you can give yourself a really big hug by bringing the fingertips around the back body. Dropping the chin. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, sigh it out. Take an inhale. And sigh it out. On the next inhale, release the arms. And draw the arms once more. So as if you're hugging yourself on the other side. Creep the fingers around the back body. Take an inhale through the nose. And sigh it out. One more inhale. And sigh it out. Let's release the arms. Palms facing upwards, just finding where the body can settle down. Enjoy the next few moments, just returning to your breath and returning to your centre. Thank you very much, everybody.